if you're watching this video, I'm going to make a guess about you. You're structured in your business life. You're successful at your career. You're just going to make that assumption, right? You're most likely very successful in your personal life. Nobody's perfect, but you're probably pretty happy. But when it comes to your health and wellness, you're probably not as structured. Maybe I'm wrong. Statistically, I don't think that I am. I've actually surveyed over 100 men that are over the age of 40, that are in their careers. Most of them have families. And I ask them the question, are you structured in your business life? Automatically, it's like, yes. 9 out of 10, absolutely. Are you structured in your personal life? You take care of your relationship, kids, your significant other? Yes, same response. Then when I say, do you have a plan for your health and your wellness? Now notice that's a pretty broad term there, health and wellness, a large umbrella. The answer comes down to 10% of the time, yes, 10%, okay? So 90% of us, and this is no judgment, this is highly scientific via the N of 100 study here. We don't have structures and systems when it comes to our health and wellness. And this is what leads to what I call roller coaster health and wellness. We might have a scenario where we're working really hard, we feel overburdened, your career's pressing on you, and maybe you have a little bit of a reprieve. And during that reprieve, you say to yourself, well, now I'm going to really get after it. I'm going to hit the gym. You come up with a little bit of a plan. You kind of think it through your head, but you don't write it down really. Maybe you write it in your journal a little bit. I want to lose X amount of weight, but you don't come up with a specific plan. How do you think that ends? Normally, meaning 90+% of the time, that ends in a big crash and burn, and it puts us right on that health and wellness roller coaster. What if there's a better way? Today I want to introduce a little concept that is lost in our society, and that is making, ready for this, making your health and wellness your number one priority, okay? Now, gut check. When I say that, when I say make your health and wellness your top priority, what does that do internally to you? So like, ugh, man, I feel like I'm not going to be a good provider. If I'm going to be selfish, I don't want it to be all about me. I got a wife, kids, whatever. That's kind of where the mind goes. But let me share a quick story. One of my main mentors, this is about 20 years ago as I was being mentored, my mentor pulled me aside and he says, Griff, he said, you're very concerned about putting everybody first. He said, that's a noble attribute. He said, but have you ever considered the concept of sacred selfishness? And I said, well, what is that? He said, if you can't serve yourself first, I'm paraphrasing, he said this much more eloquently. He said, if you can't put yourself first, you're not going to have the energy, vitality, or even the desire to be your best, nor can you be your best for your family, for at that time I was starting a business, for work, profession, whatever. You can't have the energy mentally, emotionally, or even spiritually to marshal it towards that objective, right? So if that is the case, my case for sacred selfishness is to make health and wellness your number one priority. That means if you put something in your calendar to work out, that becomes sacred. That becomes part of you. That becomes your mission. Why? Because it's going to make you a better person. Because it's going to make you a better husband, a better significant other. It's going to make you a better father. It's going to make you better at what you do professionally and otherwise, right? Completely backwards from what society teaches us. Now, the second thing I want to share with you today is just to start with one thing at a time. If you're committing to making your health and wellness priority, don't say, conquer the world. Especially if you're climbing the corporate ladder, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're just busy in your career, we tend to have that kind of King Kong mentality that I can do this. What I want you to do is pull back and actually say, I'm going to focus on one thing, and be honest with yourself. I'm a big fan of meditation. Maybe meditate about this and say, okay, what's the number one thing that is going to move the needle for me? And okay, so you get in your meditation, it comes to you like, okay, the biggest thing is, man, for some reason, and just a simple example, like I don't drink a lot of water. When I go pee, it looks like I'm gonna burn a brown hole through even by going with number one, right? Wrong color, because you're not drinking any water. So that comes to mind. And you said, well, okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to marshal all my resources, everything that I have, I'm going to put into that. I'm going to focus like a laser on that, right? All of a sudden, things lighten up metaphorically, literally, as you go. And wow, you just mastered that. Okay, now you're ready for the next thing. The next domino is ready to be tipped over. Okay, so one thing at a time. Now, to close out, I want you to think of just a little concept that I call the 3 M's. Okay, mind, mouth, muscle. Okay, what is one thing that you can do as you are changing your lifestyle that you can do to change your mindset? Maybe you're a negative thinker and you're like, okay, I'm going to do some work here. Maybe you hire a therapist. Maybe you get into meditation. Maybe you come up with some affirmations or some mantras. Doesn't really matter. But within the mind realm, you're saying to yourself, what am I going to do to better my mindset? One thing, not 2, not 3, 1. Next, muscle, which means obviously exercising. What one thing can you do? Doesn't mean you have to turn into a bodybuilder. Doesn't mean you have to be the world's best CrossFitter. Maybe it's starting with a walk, a 10-minute walk per day. One thing, okay? These are things, so mind, mouth, and muscle. Same thing with the exercise, with the mind. Let me hear it. That's the one I was forgetting. Sorry about that. With the mindset, what is one thing that you can do as well? Or nutrition. Sorry, I said mind, so nutrition. I'm all over the place. I need to do my own 3 M's. Okay, so one thing for the 3 M's. That's the first thing that we start with. And if you would like help with any of this, this is what Hard Way Health and Fitness is all about, right? Clever name, Hard Way. Why? Because when we do the hard things first, when we acknowledge that things are not supposed to be easy, that we're not entitled to make change overnight, and we commit to doing those things will become easier over time. You're going to hear me say this 100 times more in 100 different videos, because that is the objective, okay? Thank you for hanging with me, my friends. If you'd like help, you can click on this link and we can get into a free discovery phone call. It's a 15-minute phone call where we can discover where your health and wellness is right now and what a potential plan could look like. And we could discover if it would be a good win-win to work with each other, okay? Sound fair? Hopefully, we'll talk soon. If not, at the very least, we'll see you in the next video. Take care.